Have you heard of particle pollution? And what is PM 2.5? We're going to find out more on today's program because we are delighted to have Dr. Wei Kuo-Yen, who is the Minister of Environmental Protection Administration of the Executive Yuan of the Republic of China, to be our special guest. We're going to learn about these concepts and more. Welcome to our program, Minister Wei.
Hi, Mr. Wu, and everybody. Thank you for having me here.
Okay, well, like I said at the beginning, Minister, what is particle pollution?
Well, basically, we have many of pollutants. One particular category is called particle one. That means some suspended solid particles suspending in the air.
Okay.
Now, you talk about PM 2.5. Basically, the whole name of it is particulate matter, which size is smaller than 2.5 microns. Now, there's come the other special term, which is micron. Micron is, a unit very short.
Yes,
how short it is, which is 10 to minus 10 meter.
All right.
Again, still you don't have any idea how fine, how small it is. Basically, we like to use in sort of analog. Everybody has hair.
Okay.
You pull down one hair, cut it.
All right.
There is a circle like that.
Of course.
So you put the particles along the diameter of this hair.
Okay.
Then you could put about 30 of these kind of size particles there.
Okay.
So they are very small, easily to be suspended in the air, almost invisible, unless it's very dense or concentration very high. So because of its smallness, this kind of particles can go through our nostril, through breath.
Okay.
So all the way down into your lung, and can get into your blood vessel, basically.
Okay.
So then it becomes a very kind of dangerous material in our air pollutants.
All right.
Yeah.
And given the fact that most of these particles are invisible, how do we then know that we have a problem with pollutants in the air?
Yep. When it's not, the concentration is low, yeah, you're right, invisible. But if the concentration gets high, then you see, smog, that kind of looking. You don't feel the air quality is good by your visibility, visual contact, or by breath, because for some people who are sensitive to these particles, you feel hard to breathe. Also because some of these particles are really bad. All right. You get irritation. Okay. Now the question is, now what are they, and how much are there in the air? So we need to have really good monitoring devices. You need to use a lot of different chemical or physical methods to measure what's the concentration in the air.
All right. Yeah. And Minister, you were talking about the concentration of the pollutants in the air. And what is the level used by EPA in Taiwan in terms of monitoring the air quality to protect people's health and environmental safety?
Good. Basically, the unit we use is microgram per meter square.
Okay, microgram.
Again, there's the other term, micro. Micro, again, 10 to minus 6.
Okay.
So it's, again, very small. Right. That's a basic amount, as a unit.
All right. If the standard falls below, the quality level that you specify, what are the steps that, the EPA would take to alert our citizens that there is a problem with the air quality today? Try to cut off, your outdoor activities.
Yes.
Or try to protect the children and the elderly.
Now we kind of adopted the standard used by USA and
which
also
is?
Japan. So say every day, if the average concentration is higher than 35 micrograms per meter square, we consider it's above the standard.
Okay.
However, every day, every moment, it changes.
Of course.
Now we got a system here in Taiwan. We adopted from actually British system starting from last October. Here we got we call it the index system. The number from 1 to 10. So from, for example, 1 to 3, you don't worry about it.
Okay.
It's very,
minimum.
The amount is minimum. But however, when the number is above 10, then we use a color code, purple. So when the color code appears to be purple, then everybody should stay at home.
Indoors.
Yeah, indoors. At that moment, the concentration is higher than 70 microgram per meter square.
All right. And Minister, in the last 7 years since President Ma Ying-jeou took over in 2008, one of the biggest achievements is the stability of cross-strait relations.
Yes.
There's increase in terms of people, commodity, and also other things traveling back and forth. And so oftentimes people say that because the air quality in China is so polluted, so some of the particles may come over. And we also understand that earlier this year, in March of 2015, there was a self-financed documentary called Under the Dome.
Yes.
By former CCTV, anchor person, Cai Jing.
Yes.
And that's talking about the deteriorating air quality in China, particularly in Beijing. And what is your view? You're a specialist in this area. What is your view about the documentary, also the overall air quality situation on the mainland? Please.
Okay. I think Cai Jing's investigation film really kind of raised our attention to this problem. But I would say, especially for mainland China, especially for the northern mainland China, this is existing problem lasting for million years.
Okay. All right.
So there are basically two factors behind it.
Okay.
The first one is about the natural background. Because the dust always there, especially in the last 2 million years, blowing from, say, the Middle East, Inner Asia. We have Gobi deserts.
Yes.
So every winter, when the winds becomes very strong, you got this kind of air dust blowing, all over from, covering the northern China.
Okay.
However, in the recent, I would say, 10 years, because of the booming of manufacturing in mainland China, also because of a higher living standard in mainland China, we see a lot of coal burning, especially during the winter time.
Okay.
There are steel, cement, and the other industrials booming in mainland China. So we put these two together. One, naturally, it's already not in a good condition, but it's from nature. Now, secondly, in the last 10 years, the economic growth rate every year is above, say, 8 to 12%. So behind that, that's also the increase in the manufacturing in air pollutants. So put these two together, the air quality becomes really worse in the past 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this has, of course, the documentary has also raised the awareness of the possible impact, spillover impact of the air quality problem in China onto Taiwan.
Yeah.
And do you think that, given Taiwan's own experience from 30 years ago, that, maybe the Chinese government is now paying attention to the issue and try to find a better balance between economic growth on the one hand, and also environmental protection on the other?
Yeah, you're right. I think, let's look back about the establishment of our Environmental
EPA.
Protection Administration in Taiwan. It was set up 28 years ago. Why it was set up? Because of air pollution.
Exactly.
I grew up in Taipei City. That time in Taipei City, we still burn coal in the city. So I still remember in those days, when I was still in high school or college, if you go up to the mountain on the hillside of Taipei, you see smog in Taipei City. So right there, starting from that time, Taiwan local government and also central government started to ban the using of coal as a burning, as a fuel in the household.
All right.
Meanwhile, because of the establishment of Taiwan's EPA, the main purpose there in the beginning is to control air pollution.
Yes.
So we have been strived for doing this for at least 27 years.
All right.
Now we see some good results there. First of all, we have very strong control on the factories. Right. Secondly, on the vehicle, for example, now we already entered into the stage 5. That means we have really high, stringent standards for any vehicles imported, sold in Taiwan. You only allow very certain small amount of any pollutants coming out from your pipelines.
Yes.
Yeah.
So these are the measures and also the subsequent results that we see in Taiwan. Maybe we can see the same, taking place in China in the near future. Minister, we were talking about, the air quality measures and the, steps taken by EPA Taiwan to try to protect our citizens' health. And given the fact that we're so close to mainland China, and China for the last 15, 20 years has been on the rapid ascendance in terms of economic growth. So there's a lot of manufacturing activities going on in the mainland. But given the fact that now you also see the rise of possibly a middle class on the mainland, and people now paying more attention on the quality of air, quality of life. So do you think that, following the release of Under the Dome, that documentary, do you think that there may be a better awareness among the general public in China, as well as with the government officials, on the importance of air quality control, or also a better balance between environmental, protection and economic growth?
Sure. I think the awareness is already been there. Now the question is, what's the next step?
Yeah.
Taiwan already worked on this, I would say, for at least 25 years. We got some experience. I just mentioned in the last segment. The other thing I did not mention is we have this air pollution control fund. For example, now everybody, when you go to the petroleum or gas station to pump oil, every liter you contribute 0.2 Taiwan yuans. So every time you drive your car, you are polluting the air. But meanwhile, you pay something, pay a little bit there. For the same token, all the manufacturers or the factories, they have to pay depending upon their emission amount. So with that, Taiwan already has this kind of fund. I don't know, has mainland China done the same thing? But if they haven't, I mean, this is the first step. They should go. They should take. The awareness is there. So the next thing is to have the infrastructure there. For example, in Taiwan, we have our education system in our college. We train many expertise engineers. Our people have basic understanding. This is about education. About the society side, or the say inspection or the factories, we have to train a lot of people. But not all of them are civil servants. We rely on many companies. They will do this job. Now we have to do the certification. Otherwise, can be very bad.
Yes.
So, we emphasize on 3 aspects of this.
Please.
We call the MRV. M means measurable. R means reportable.
Okay.
V means verifiable.
Okay,
so
verifiable.
MRV,
Okay.
then becomes constituents of the whole system.
Exactly.
You have to have some confidence and trust in this system.
Okay.
Otherwise, bribery, other bad things can happen. So the air pollution cannot be controlled. Meanwhile, you got other troubles. So the system is very important.
Okay. Yeah. And without politicizing the issue,
yes.
but how serious a threat is China's smog situation onto Taiwan's air quality control?
We have done some, we call it the atmospheric circulation model. That's one thing.
Okay.
The other is we collect our samples in Taiwan and try to kind of trace their sources based upon mass balance modeling. So from these two, roughly in the winter time, when winter monsoon prevails, in Taiwan, we really get a threat from mainland China. Okay. It's about 30% of our fine particle, meaning PM 2.5 matters, come from mainland China.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there a seasonal variation? For example, maybe during the winter months, the northern parts of China need, some coal burning to provide heat and other, sources of energy. Then maybe the pollutant level is higher than 30%.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's one reason. The other is about the wind direction.
Oh, okay.
So plus, combining these two, one is the source in mainland China increases during the winter time. Okay. Secondly, because the wind direction, bringing all the particles, from mainland China, go to the sort of south. And to Taiwan, it turns into a northeastern wind. Okay. So Taiwan is like this. Then wind comes from the eastern direction, northeastern direction, over our central mountain
range. Yes.
So when the wind goes over the mountain, the velocity becomes less, smaller. So then we get leeway side, low velocity zone. Oh, okay. So then particles fall down in that area. So that's why in the wintertime, in the southwestern Taiwan part, becomes really bad because it accumulates. There are the fallouts of these fine particles from mainland China, also locally. So put this together, the dispersion is really hard in that time. So in the wintertime, especially like in December, January, February, every year, the air quality in terms of PM 2.5 is really bad.
Especially in
southwestern Taiwan. It's like
Tainan.
Actually now from Yunlin,
Jiayi,
like Douliu, Nantou, like Puli. Also a part of northern Pingdong, Kaohsiung. Two villages, I would say, quite innocent. For them, like Puli and Douliu. They don't have too much industries there. No. But because it's kind of basin, they are located in a basin. It's a topographic low. Then the dispersion becomes hard. So in the wintertime, the particles accumulate there.
And Minister, you mentioned also the index, the air quality index that the EPA uses. If it gets over, for example, the color code purple, then the people should try to cut down on the outdoors activities and stay indoors. Which groups of people are particularly at risk? For example, people older or people younger. What is the general recommendation?
You just mentioned two categories. One is child, the other is elderly. The third is they are already, sensitive, allergic to any air pollutants. People already have the problem of, like lung or heart disease. All these three categories. So many people are affected and should be alert to this.
But suppose if I don't smoke, I don't have any, existing conditions with my heart or my lungs. But because because I work, I need to go out quite often. And during the winter months, when the air quality is bad, what would be some of the symptoms that I can pick up, even though I don't have any existing conditions? But are there any symptoms I can notice?
As I mentioned, people already have some allergy or conditions, they will feel it. The trouble is, for ordinary people, let me call it ordinary, maybe he or she doesn't feel anything. That's the trouble.
Okay.
When you already got this eye irritation, or a cough, that's really serious already.
Okay.
So we advise first, just watch our TV.
Okay.
See, we already have this forecast or broadcasting of the air quality. So you see the sign, you know the air quality is not good, wear a mask.
Okay.
It helps.
Okay.
Secondly, don't do any, say, very active exercise outdoor.
Okay.
Although the air quality is not really good, but don't be afraid, hide yourself in the house. Okay. You still can go around.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. Just have some proper protection. That will be okay. Yeah.
Right. And people will say that, on the streets of Taipei, for example, you see quite a few number of people wearing masks.
Yes.
Is that really helpful? Because there are so many different kinds of masks. Some of them for medical purposes, some of them just for the looks of it. And what's your recommendation?
Well, generally speaking, to wear a mask certainly helps. Okay. It's not only from preventing from this PM 2.5, also other bacteria, disease. So that's a general protection device. Okay. So I would say okay.
Right.
But don't be panic.
Yes, don't panic on this.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that, Minister, we know that Cai Jing did the documentary is because that she wanted her daughter to grow up in an environment free from air, pollution and other, pollutants.
Yeah.
And given the fact that there are many, parents in Taiwan, myself included, with young children at home, what would be some of the things that we can do to protect the younger ones from being exposed long-term to pollutants in the air? Please.
Well, basically for the outdoor part, it's the same thing. Okay. I mean, if the air quality is not good, you don't want the kids go out to do, especially exercise. You inhale a lot and that kind of thing. You don't want to do it. Okay. But meanwhile, we have also to emphasize on the indoor air quality. If you love your child, I think you are a good father. You don't smoke, right?
No, I don't.
So they call it second-hand smoking. It's really bad. Okay. For our housewife, cooking can also create some PM 2.5.
Oh, okay.
Especially you fry or you bake, that can cause some suspended materials in the air, in the house. Right. Also in Taiwan, especially in Taiwan, we have these, local some festival events. So you burn a lot of firecrackers.
Yes.
That also creates, and the concentration is much higher.
Yes, exactly.
The other thing is, for example, when you pump the gasoline in a gas station.
Yes.
Usually, when the tank is filled, it will stop. Automatically. Yes. But some people say, hey, I want to use, 1,000. I don't want to get any exchange. So, to get a little more. Okay. Don't do that. Right. In that small moments, also the pollutants, the volatiles coming out from the gasoline also released to the air. So here, let me use this, use this moment to emphasize the other point. We think about these fine particles in the air, but originally they may not be particles. Okay. They just some volatiles, like SO2, CO2, they're kind of just air. Okay. But in the air, with the sunshine energy, there is some photochemical reactions. then you form some new fine particles.
Okay. So, Dr. Wei, what we're talking about the different measures that the EPA has taken to protect the environment and also the health of our citizens. And we also understand that the EPA has set up over 70 air quality monitoring stations around Taiwan. And these monitoring stations will provide the data, the reading on the quality of the air of that particular time, of that particular day. Can you share with us the functions of these monitoring stations and also what does the data tell us?
Okay. First of all, I have to say those air quality monitoring stations are really expensive because they are of high quality. In general, every one costs us about 5 million NT dollars.
Really?
Yeah. So they are really good devices. Okay. So we cannot put everyone everywhere, say, in the front door of your house.
No.
Those monitoring stations the purpose are for the background air quality monitoring.
Yes.
Some of them, a lot of them are automatic one.
Okay.
About a dozen of them are we call the manual one. Okay. Now, why we need to have two kinds? The manual one, once we collect the samples, we need to send back to the laboratory to do measurements. It takes time.
All right.
However, we like to have real-time monitoring.
Okay.
So we have these automatic ones. The good thing is it's quick.
Okay.
However, the downside is it's not so precise.
Okay.
However, we combine these two. Always do this calibration between this manual one and the automatic one. We can calibrate the automatic one.
Okay.
So combining these two, every moment, literally, we can provide the air quality data around Taiwan. So then we release this data to the public, including some TV stations.
Okay, good.
Also to our central bureau, Central Weather Bureau.
Okay.
With these, especially during the winter time, the Central Weather Bureau also will forecast the results, including two kinds. One is forecast for the next 3 days. One is the real time. Yeah, that's basically we make this data useful, also available to the public.
Okay. And besides the air quality monitoring stations, I also understand that the EPA has provided for smartphone devices and for digital devices an APP. Would you mind telling us?
Sure. Now we have this open data kind of platform, so everybody can download it and make their own APP.
Okay.
In Taiwan, actually now, for example, Taichung government, they have their own Taichung air quality kind of APP. You can download it.
Okay.
Some real estate company, they also develop theirs. For example, you want to look for a house there or shop for your investment object. They will show you, hey, the air quality here is what.
Okay.
Now from EPA, we have our own.
Okay.
Actually, well, my
you do have it with you.
My phone now is off, but you can download it.
Okay.
For example, now we are in Neihu.
Yes.
I just click it, and then this program will give you the air quality in Neihu within like 3 seconds.
Okay.
So you will see temperature here. You will see any raining or storm alarm.
Okay.
Are there any earthquakes? Or were there any earthquakes in the past 24 hours? Also, the indicators we talk about, like PM 2.5, its concentration. PM 10, that's a little bit closer.
Yes.
Particulates in the air. Also, the air color coding all show up in one screen.
All right. Yeah. And the numbers that we get from the APP, is the calibrated numbers from the real time and also from the measure, the data that you mentioned earlier, the two types.
Oh, we already did the calibration.
Okay.
So
that's already combined.
It's combined, and it has to be done like every day or every time you got new result out. Yeah.
And Minister, you mentioned that, of course, the situation on mainland China has a direct impact on the air quality, concerns in Taiwan, but that only amounts to about 30 to 30+%. Yeah. Most of the time, and for the remainder, we have to look at some of the domestic factors. Yes. What would be some of the domestic factors that are responsible for polluted air and also PM 2.5 concerns?
Okay,
please?
There are two categories. One we call the stationary, the other is mobile.
Okay.
Stationary including like factories, for example, like steel companies, cement, power plants, especially those burn coal and petroleum.
Okay.
This is from industry side. Also construction side can also cause these.
Yes.
Mobile one from motor vehicles. So there are two categories of artificial ones.
Okay.
Also from natural ones, like when wind blowing the river, the bank, especially during the dry season, you get some these particles. Also from sea breeze also can, bring in some sea salts.
Yes.
They are also fine particles. So roughly there are so many different sources. Now we already did some calculation. In general term, the mobile or traffic one contributes about 30%.
Another 30%.
Okay. The industrial or manufacturers also 30%.
Okay.
And the other 10% from natural sources.
Okay. Yeah. And given the fact that you have all these, various sources of pollutants coming into Taiwan, and what are some of the things maybe that we can, alert ourselves, in addition to reading the index that provided by EPA, what would be some of the things that we can maybe watch out for, as the weather and the season changes, if the air quality is a concern today? For example, if we go out and see the skies were not so bright and blue today, is that a concern for us?
I would suggest really trust on our measurements.
Okay.
Sometimes when the air looks like not too clear, it may not be caused by the pollutants. You have other factors there. So trust our measurements.
The numbers.
Now the data are available. Download some application programs in your
mobile devices.
So use these. Watch it. Plan your activities today.
Accordingly.
That's one thing. The other I just mentioned previously, I think even your micro environment, I call it micro, just say in your household, to really cut down any possible sources of fine particles. This is, I would say.
That will really make a difference.
Don't always think about
the external factors.
External, or people tend to say, "Oh, those factories they are really bad."
Okay, they're the culprit.
They have to pay their duty, or bear their responsibility. But look, the number is they contribute about say 30 to 40, at least to the most 50%. The other 50 comes from other sources.
Yes, exactly.
So about traffic side, now Executive Yuan, we are going to do some measures to cut down these. One is now we already know that the trucks and tour bus, which use diesels as fuel, they contribute a lot of these fine particles. So we are going to to change the situation.
Good.
Eventually, may get into electric bus, for example, for public transportation.
Okay.
That's a long-term goal, but so-called long-term, maybe in the within 5 years, 10 years, we like to do that.
All right.
On the other hand, Taiwan probably is the most dense area of these motorcycles.
Yes.
We only have about 22 million people in population, but we have 120 million motorcycles.
Yes.
Every
Almost
household
2 to 1.
has maybe 1 to 2 or even 3.
Yes.
A lot of them, about say a quarter of them are really old ones.
Yes.
Which once you use it,
creates a problem.
Yes. Creates a problem. So we want to have a turnover of that.
Okay.
We will have encouraged people to trade it.
Yes.
We have a trading program in the near future.
Good.
We pay you something, a good handsome amount of NT dollars.
Yes.
But you have to buy electric motorcycles.
Good.
So that will be, I guess, in operation probably this year.
Okay. I think that is also the trend worldwide because you talk about electric, automobiles, motorcycles. I think this is a common concern, universal concern. Yes. Minister, we were talking about many things that EPA has done to help protect the environment in Taiwan and also the air quality for our people. And can we also ask you, what are some of the possible forecasting, measures that EPA has adopted or plan to adopt in the future to try to tell the citizens in Taiwan that what the air quality is now and also, a few days from now? Please.
Yeah, I think this forecasting is very important for 2 reasons. The first one is to protect humans' health.
Yes.
The other, we can have some measures to take, for example, to control some of our manufacturers. Say, hey, please, tomorrow you don't want to emit that much, things like that. However, to have very good forecasting, they take some efforts.
Of course.
One is we have to have ground air quality measurements.
Okay.
Secondly, we get the atmospheric circulation parameters from our Central Bureau of Weather.
Yes.
Thirdly, we combine these two to do some simulation.
Okay.
Now, after this simulation, we put our air quality model in. Then to calculate for example, PM 2.5 concentration all over Taiwan.
Yes.
Then we need to do some calibration. Because, for example, I can now predict or forecast from today, the following 3 days.
Okay.
We predict tomorrow's.
Okay.
We got some model there. Tomorrow we'll get the true data, right?
Yes.
Then we will do this check again to modify or calibrate our modeling.
Okay.
So it's a kind of dynamic process.
Exactly.
Every day we do twice this, in the morning time, in the evening time. So once we get the forecast for the next 3 days, we release to the public.
Good.
Yeah, that's our forecasting kind of steps and what we can provide.
All right.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that people often compare Taiwan to is against the other so-called 4 little dragons of East Asia. Yeah. Namely South Korea, Hong Kong, Singapore, and of course Taiwan.
Yeah.
And we 20 years ago we were comparing the growth of GDP as the 4 little dragons were moving forward economically, and now often people compare the
air
pollution, air quality things, index among the 4 little dragons. How does Taiwan stand compared with the other members of the 4 little dragons? Please.
I see. Actually, now I think, for example, if you compare Taipei to Hong Kong, Taipei is probably better.
Yes.
It's not only a factor of, say, economic growth or industry. Some Western saying says, the wind travels without passport.
Yes.
So now Korea, South Korea, and also Hong Kong, because they are so close as a neighbor in area of mainland China, they got a lot of influence from mainland China.
Yes.
So I guess nowadays their air quality is not good compared to Taiwan's. Singapore, because it's far away, also because it's in the city there, the country there is in a different, atmospheric circulation setting.
Yes.
So if we look at the world map of this PM 2.5 distribution, Singapore has no problem at all. Okay. On the other hand, Hong Kong South Korea can be concerned as a part of China.
Yes. Okay, yes.
In terms of that,
yeah.
Taiwan, because separated by the strait,
yes.
Taiwan Strait, we are influenced by it, but not in that kind of total overall
yes.
Influence.
Okay. And given the fact that, like you said, air pollution travels without passport.
You're right.
This is an issue not just for one country
exactly.
or one government. It should be an international or regional, at least, concern
sure.
for all the people in the neighborhood.
Yes.
And given the fact that Taiwan is part of the East Asian community, what are some of the international exchanges and cooperation that we have with neighboring countries like South Korea or places in Southeast Asia? Please.
Okay, there are two, I would say, aspects.
Okay.
One is about research.
All right.
The other is about our, different cities. How can we work together to have clean air? Right. About first one, actually now Japan and Korea, because they are in the position under wind of mainland China.
Yes.
They already got these influences. So, to my understanding, in the past, say 5 years. Japan and the Korea officials already have so many meetings with mainland Chinese officials and scientists. Taiwan is out of it. Okay. To which I don't feel happy about it.
No. Okay.
But anyway, so I think the next step is, what we are doing now is we like to form some team with Japan and South Korea. For example, we can do some seagoing research, collecting samples from the seaside. Also, we can exchange our samples collected on land.
Okay.
So for this part, Taiwan's EPA and also our scientists are working on it. Okay. Secondly, also we have the cross-strait exchange with mainland Chinese scientists and some semi-official exchange program. Okay. With that, we also would like to exchange data, exchange to have some standard set up to monitor the air pollutants. This is about the I would say scientific part. Okay. Secondly, now EPA, we already launched the program called IEP. That means International Environment Partnership.
Good.
Since last April, 2014. Within the past year, we already have like 17 international activities, about 30 countries joined.
Good.
One of that is called Asia City Air Cleanup. Good. Things like that.
Okay, all right.
So there are so many Asian cities participated in this program. In this program, we have cities into, say, 3 categories, depending on their natural background, their industrial level, things like that. Right. So we don't compare them directly. Okay. But within each category, we have a competition about how good, what kind of measures they take, and what's the results resulted from the steps. Okay. So every year, starting last year, we have these. So again, from the city side, from different municipal administrations, we try to clean air right there in every city. Okay. So from these two, we hope that overall in this region, the air quality can become better.
Okay. And we also must give credits to EPA in the recent years by raising the public awareness of issues like polluted air and also PM 2.5. And what is in the area of education, for example, Minister, that the EPA plans to do more in the future? So make sure that not just the young kids, but also the older people are better protected with the pollution.
Great. Thank you for mentioning education. I think education is so important because it changes your behavior.
Yeah, exactly.
Secondly, in the school education, our young kids, they have to understand it and they have to prepare for a better world. So as a result, we observed that many young kids, they learn something in school. They go back to their house and teach their parents and the grandparents.
Yes.
So it's kind of,
Exactly.
very good. It's kind of social movement. That's the beginning of it. But on the other hand, education is not limited in the classroom.
No.
In Taiwan, I guess Taiwan is one of the 6 countries in the world. We have a law to ask people, you have to have environmental education. Exactly. For example, public servants like myself, I'm the minister of EPA. But every year, I have to into the classroom to take 4 hours class in environmental sciences. Right. There is no end of your learning.
Education.
So again, this is something Taiwan now we are doing it.
Okay.
Previously, we already have many different, materials in our program. We teach people how to, sort the garbage, to protect biodiversity. But now we got a more important issue there, quite important, which is about air pollution, about the possible health hazards of PM 2.5.
Okay. Finally, Minister, we have about 1 minute left in the program. We understand that looking back on your career, that you have taught, in the United States and come back to Taiwan and done research and also teaching. That you have also served in the government, both at the local level and also now at the central level. Of all the different roles that you have played in your career so far, which one do you enjoy the most and why, please?
I enjoy all of them.
All of them, yes. Okay. Yeah.
I think one step leads to the other. So they have the service for vice versa.
Okay.
Yeah, reinforce maybe my ability to work on the different duties.
Yeah, you're very modest. And certainly, Minister, like I said, I think the EPA of Taiwan should be recognized for their efforts in terms of educating the public, also raising everybody's awareness on the polluted air issue in Taiwan. Certainly being a pleasure to have you on the program today. Want to wish you all the best in the future for your personal and also professional endeavors.
Well, my honor, my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for watching our program today. I'll see you next time on MacroView Television. Thank you.